Hello lovely people, it's Nicola back in the Stitches and Slapdashery sewing room. I've been busy. I have made 27 scrappy log cabin blocks from my scrap bag, which I'm currently sitting on. This is my scrap pillowcase. It only weighs about 2.5 pounds now, so I have managed to get it down quite considerably. And I have a little snip of a reveal of my Free Spirit Fabrics fat quarters here, which I opened up and had a proper look at for the first time, even though they've been in my sewing room for really ages. And I've got a couple of new things that I've bought, and I got a rather fun little fish garland and a new bird made from toilet paper tubes. So I'll show you the other things after this little clip, but we'll start with the toilet paper tube fish, because why not? I hope you enjoyed that. My little bird all dried now and ready to hang somewhere. I think my plan is to take all of the mushroomy things off my kitchen windowsill and put the birds along the windowsill. I'll hang that one up, and then I'll hang my fish garland up there as well. It's amazing how they feel so different when they have all the paint and the Mod Podge on. You can probably hear them clattering away. But I'm going to hang them up over my kitchen sink just because they are cute and fun. Yeah, I really enjoyed making those. Such a simple idea, but very enjoyable. So what did I buy this week? Yes, I decided I wanted to try a new craft, one that I had never done before. And I thought, okay, I'm going to try diamond painting. I haven't started this kit yet, but I bought it and I decided that it was going to be a small, easy project, because I have co-workers who've said, yeah, I bought one of the big sets and I never finished it. So I got this one. This is from Michael's, where I work. It's a coaster set. Make Market is Michael's own brand. And there are 4 coasters. There's 4 flowers. One is like a sunflower, one is a rose. That one looks maybe like a peony and maybe a viola. I have opened the box, but I haven't taken anything out of the packets yet. I know that once I take it all out of the packet, I'm kind of committed to getting started, so I haven't done it yet. So in the packet, you get a little instruction leaflet, and you get a little set with a tray for the color of gems you're working on in that particular moment. A little bit of wax, which goes on the end of your stylus. The stylus is very basic. It looks just like a plastic straw with a tip on the end. You can buy fancier ones than that if you get into the hobby in a big way. So this is really basic. I'm assuming these little Ziploc bags are for when you have little gems left over. And then in this bag, rustle, 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 you have 4 plastic coasters, and they have the pattern printed on there. Not only is it in color, but also it's a bit like painting by numbers in a way, because there's a little symbol for each color. If you've ever done cross stitch, you'll know that there's usually a symbol for each color that you have to use of your embroidery thread, and this one has lots of little numbers and letters on there. I'm going to see which one looks like the easiest one to start with, because yeah, this could be challenging, a bit challenging to my eyes, shall we say. They're sticking to each other. I may have put them back in the box the wrong way before. Maybe I'll put them back to back, just in case. So once you've done your gem sticking, so let me just explain. This has a peel off plastic layer. And when you peel back the plastic layer, the underneath layer is sticky, and so the gems stick to it. And they say just to peel back enough to stick down the area you're working on at the time, because you want it to stay dust free and clean. And then when those are done, they give you a little cork backing for each one, which looks like it's got a self-adhesive back. And then here are the packages of all the little different colored gems. They're just little plastic dots, basically. So that's that. I bought it probably, I don't know, a few days ago, beginning of the week maybe. I think I bought it at the beginning of the week, and I haven't been wanting to start it yet because I've been busy with other things. But that is a project for very soon. And hopefully I have the staying staying powder? Should trademark that, shouldn't I? Hopefully I have the staying power to do all 4 coasters. I think I will. So I'm looking forward to that. Then yesterday, I had a bit of an impulse buy because there was a customer asking me to get him a pack of paint pens off a peg. Now, a lot of the product in Michael's is behind a security magnet, and whoever's holding the keys, there's usually a couple of people on the floor who are holding keys and magnets so that you can take things off the peg for customers, because they're high theft items and we don't want people coming in and swiping a ton of it and running out the store with it. So he bought these paint pens and there was 1 pack left, and I thought, I've been wanting paint pens for a really long time. And these are the Craft Smart ones, which again is the Michael's brand. It's a Michael's budget brand. They were $19.99, but I had a 40% coupon, so that was good. And there are 14 of them. Bit of a random number. 14 of them, medium tip, oil-based. And because they're oil-based, they don't really recommend that you use them on paper, but they do work well on wood, plastic, metal, and glass. So there's another thing to add to my wheelhouse, because those will be fun to play with. Maybe I should try them on something like a mason jar. Try and decorate a mason jar or something like that, just for fun. Don't know yet, but I'm glad to have them. A very, very tiny little thing that I did earlier in the week. Where was I? I think it was last Sunday. We went out, and I like, when I'm sitting at our favourite tea shop having a tea with Mr. Stitches, I like to either have a book with me or something to do with my hands. And I grabbed this yarn that it's cotton, and I had dyed it with some Rit dye, I think, a really, really, really long time ago. And I'm trying to work through my stash of this random cotton. So I also grabbed this little set. This is a Denise To Go set. I don't know if you've ever heard of this, but it's a little crochet set that's super tiny and very convenient. And when you open it up, you'll see there's a little set of crochet hooks in there. And I'm running out of voice. I didn't bring my glass of water down with me, so I will be croaking a bit. You get 6 hooks from 5mm up to 9mm. And you can do regular crochet with these, but you can also do Tunisian crochet, because they come with a handful of little cables. That's the word. And if I can get them out of here, I don't know, I've stuck one down in there. You get little stoppers. So it's a bit like an interchangeable knitting set, except they're crochet hooks. The tips are a little bit different. Like, I know that there are 2 kinds of crochet hook. There's a Bates head and there's a boy head. The boy is a tapered one and the Bates one is an inline one. And these ones are definitely inline. You can see if you look at them head on. They're straight and they have a very, very distinctive cut up through the hook head. And some people find that they can only use one or the other, and they really struggle if they try and switch. I don't find that these are a problem at all. And because they're plastic, they're travel friendly, and because they're small, they're travel friendly. And so I took that out with me the other day, and I did a really weird looking dishcloth. And I say it's weird because it's got this line here. So I ended up doing a piece of Tunisian crochet, and because it was too small, I wanted to make it bigger. After I had done what they call kind of the bind off row, because you chain across those open loops at the top of the Tunisian simple stitch, I went round a few times. So there's this random sort of chain row, which looks like it's just floating in the middle there and doesn't look right. But it's just a dishcloth, so I don't care. And it's a nice size. I like dishcloths to be at least, as big as my hand, because you need lots of wiping power in the kitchen for things, spills and things. I haven't bought paper towels for my kitchen in probably 20 years because I just use dishcloths for everything. Every now and again, I do wish I had one or two, because now that we have a microwave again, it's nice to have paper towel if you're baking potatoes, but I can live without it. So before I show you all of the log cabin blocks and the auction baskets that I've been preparing for the Nanaimo festival I'm going to in July, I will play the clip of the flick through the Free Spirit fat quarters, which have been sitting in my stash for far too long, and I have not cut into them yet. One of these days, I definitely will use them for something. I'm so scared of wasting them, though. aren't those fabrics just beautiful? There are 40 fat quarters there, which adds up to 10 yards because they're imperial fat quarters, not metric fat quarters. And they weigh a ton. There they all are. And in the last few days, when I have been furiously sewing scrap log cabin blocks, I have been promising myself that I am going to use up everything in this scrap pillow that I showed you earlier. And then I'm going to start cutting into the good stuff. Just have to have the right project. You know how that is, right? Let me show you what I was doing today. I got my serger out. I just love my serger. It's just like magic. I have about 108 items in a couple of big recycling bags sitting in the corner of my sewing room, which I was going to save for the festival in September that I helped to organize. And then I thought, well, I'm going to build some baskets for the one in Nanaimo in July because I feel like we're getting a lot of donations of gift certificates, but not a lot of actual things to go into baskets. And I thought, we need more baskets. I had so many baskets sitting in my utility room, much to my husband's disgust. He's like, when are you going to get rid of those baskets? And I'm like, well, you know they're not going anywhere till September. But I did use 6 of them today. I got some stash fabric out of the closet and I serged around some big pieces to use for the basket lining. And I'll show you what I've got so far. So this one here currently has a beanie and a cowl that I knitted ages ago. And I never used it. I decided it was going to be a gift. And I thought, okay, that can go to the festival. But what I'm planning to do with this one is maybe add some hot chocolate mix and some marshmallows to that to make it kind of wintry, which is maybe a bit weird at a summer festival, but you know, winter is always going to come round again, right? And then I have one here that has 6 dishcloths in it. These dishcloths are my absolute favorite in my kitchen. They have scrubby yarn in the middle, 2 layers, and then a cotton section around the outside. And I had bundled 2 sets of 3, thinking they would go in separate baskets. But then I thought I could go to the health food store and buy some eco-friendly dishwashing soap or something like that and put that in a basket with those. That's the plan for that one. And then this one, oh, this one is so cute. So you may remember that not long ago I made this little teddy bear from fleece that looks like granny squares. And then I realized that I had a few of these pencil cases which were made out of the exact same fabric. So I put those 2 things in a basket and I'm going to buy some crayons or colored pencils to go with the pencil case. And I thought that would make a lovely little package. And then this one, this was I think this was just last week, this video where I made the snack bags. One before this one. And what I plan to do with that is buy a big bag of trail mix from the local supermarket and put that in there, and that's going to be a bundle. And then this one is the denim pig that I sewed from the Warren the Charity Bear pattern, that's right, that I enlarged. And because it had a little pig, can you see that? A pig patch on it. I realized that it matched this zipper pouch that I had also made out of that same fabric. So I'm going to go to the health food store and I'm going to see if I can find some dark chocolate that maybe has a little pig on the wrapping. I think there's a brand called Truffle Pig. I'm going to have to check, make sure they're dairy free, but I will put some chocolate in there, I think. So that'll be fun. I think the description for that basket should be pig out on chocolate. And then this sixth one, and I'm going to have to stop at 6 because my car is tiny, and I'm going to have 3 people in it, along with our backpacks full of stuff for a long weekend to drive down to Nanaimo and go on the ferry. And there's probably going to be other stuff, possibly even a market tent in there. So I'm going to have to be limiting myself here. So here's my big Warren, the Charity Bear denim version. And the fabric doesn't actually match these bags, but these two things match each other. This has also upcycled jeans on and floral fabric, and then this has the same floral fabric, this little snap pouch. So that's another little bundle. I do like making those, they're a lot of fun. I think I'll probably change you over to the overhead camera just so that we can flick through the crazy scrappy log cabin blocks I've been making. So I had a really good setup this week. I've had my machine on a cutting mat with my cutter and a ruler handy. I've had my ironing pad to the left with my little iron on, and I've been able to just sew, press, sew, press, sew, press, and I have burnt through so many odds and ends of bobbin thread. It's been great. I just love doing that. I don't like it when all these little threads hang off my bobbin case. So I'm down to very few bobbins with thread in now because I've been burning through them like crazy. And I've been using a rather unpleasant shade of yellow for my top thread. So that's been good to get through that too. I've color coordinated these squares so far. I may have to now start mixing completely randomly because I ran out of coordinates last night. I only managed to make 2 that were made with pinks. What I aimed for, and this is why it was also handy to have this cutting mat under here, is I was able to make sure that they were 8 inches or a bit over, so I can then trim them. So there's a very wide range of random fabrics with pinks in there. I think I had to repeat this one because I didn't have a choice. I was trying not to repeat the same fabric in one square. Oh, look, I repeated that one as well. Oh, well. Couldn't be helped. And this fabric here, I ended up using the back of it because that was far too bright. It was from that Hello Kitty panel and it's almost neon. So I wanted to use the softer side. And that's the other pink one I have made. Yes, there are other colors in there, but majority is pink. And then this is the red and blue pile. So we'll just flick through these. I made 20 on Wednesday, and then I made another 7 last night. I thought I'd made more, but I was a bit disappointed to find I only had 27 total. By the time I had finished, I was getting very tired by about 10:30 last night. Ooh, long thread sticking out. Hold on. And I thought I really must go to bed. And so I just did a quick count of what I had. And it was only 27. But yeah, it's great because I just put some music on and just sew. This pile was the purple and green pile. I rather like that one. These things here, I had to piece these little pieces to make one long strip because I was running out of greens and purples too. As you can see, there's a lot of random prints in there, which, they don't go together perfectly, but hey, at least they're somewhat controlled in their color palette. And then this is actually the biggest pile. I didn't think I had that many brown fabrics because I'm not really a fan of brown fabric, but as it turned out, I had a lot. And I was glad to get those used up. Here I had to piece another couple of bits together because I didn't have a long enough strip. So what I was thinking is, seeing as I was aiming for an 8-inch size at this stage, I think my plan is to trim them all to 7 3/4. So as long as I haven't misjudged and made any too small, I should be able to trim them all to 7 3/4 inches square. And then when they're sewn, I'll probably just use a 3/4 of an inch seam allowance. They'll be 7 inches finished. Oh, I think that'll work. Yeah, I would have loved it if this had completely emptied out my scrap bag, but it hasn't yet. And I'm not sure what these are going to be. I don't know if I'm going to just make a quilt top with them, or if I'm going to do something else, use them all up in one project, or divvy them up in different projects, or what. But yeah, that was a weird one. The center square ended up over here. Okay, that is weird. That is very weird. I ended up putting one here, and I guess this was already wide enough, so I just had to add an extra strip to make it the right size that way. It's fine. So that's my 27 squares. It's getting a little windy outside. I've got my window open and my maple tree is getting really battered about. There was rain and possibly a thunderstorm in the forecast, which doesn't bode well for all of the people enjoying downtown today. There was a Pride Festival on, which I did think I was going to go to. And then I thought, oh, I don't think I want to battle the crowds and the parking. So I'm just going to have a day in my sewing room. But you know what? I've really enjoyed myself, and I think that's what counts. Oh, I forgot to mention, Mr. Stitches is a bit laid up right now. We were doing a big tidy of the downstairs pantry. We have a cupboard we call the cold room downstairs, and it's where we put big bags of things, like 20-kilogram bags of flour and 10-kilogram bags of beans and stuff like that. Well, we had a mouse in there a couple of weeks ago, and we did manage to catch it in one of the humane traps and take it down the bottom of the garden and let it out. But my husband decided he was going to give the cupboard a really good clean and organize, which is probably a really good thing when you know a mouse has been running around and peeing in there and pooping in there. So it's all nice and tidy now. But after he was doing that, he was in the utility room, and I was sitting on the floor sorting out my hundreds of mason jars and mason jar lids and just putting some aside to keep. And then I filled a whole big box to give away. While I was doing that, there was a crash just a few feet to my left, and somehow he'd managed to pull something down on himself, which means he had stepped back, tripped over something, fallen down. And all I can say is I'm really glad he didn't hurt his tailbone or his skull, because he obviously broke his fall with his foot and his hand, and his left hand and his right foot have been insanely painful and swollen since then. So I don't think there's anything broken, but he's had to basically just sit mostly for the last couple of days, and he has so many things he wants to get done, not least going back out to the garden and digging the last of the couch grass out of the vegetable garden. So just before I came downstairs just now, I gave him 2 bowls. I gave him a bowl full of really hot tap water and a bowl of cold water with some of those reusable cold packs in to make it even colder. And I told him to alternate which bowl he puts them in, because hot, cold, it can get the blood flowing and decrease the inflammation. So I'm hoping that helps. Plus, he is also taking ibuprofen, which also has been helping. So, yeah, he's not going to be going out and driving or walking or gymming for a while. Poor guy. So hopefully that won't take too long to heal up, because it's really painful right now. So that's all I have to show you for today. I'm going to put this vlog up, and hopefully next time I will be able to show you what those scrap squares are going to become, or will have become at that point. If you've got any suggestions, I could just do a quilt. I like making quilt tops, but I'm not always crazy about the rest of the process. But I do have lots of batting. And I found a piece of fabric in my closet area today, which I considered chopping up for basket linings. It actually would make a really good quilt back. It's just an old duvet that I got from the thrift shop last year. So that might work as a quilt back, or I could just make multiple smaller projects. What do you reckon? Comment underneath the video and let me know. Thanks for being here. I hope you enjoyed watching along. I appreciate you being here, and I hope you're going to come back for the next vlog. Bye for now.